My mom cried when I took a DNA test. Now I know why. Hi Reddit, I'm writing this from New York, USA, because I need to vent somewhere anonymously. I'm 32, a regular guy, I work in it, have a girlfriend, love playing video games and watching football on weekends. But the last few weeks, my life has been turned upside down. I did a 23andMe DNA test, thinking it would just be fun to learn about my ancestors, maybe find some distant relatives. But what I discovered shattered my entire family. It turned out that my uncle is actually my biological father. A secret that was kept for 30 years has come out, and now I don't know how to live with it. I'll tell everything in order, because it's a long story, and I need to lay out all the details to sort things out in my head a little. First, about my family. I grew up in a typical American family in a suburb of Boston, Massachusetts. My dad, or the one I always called Dad, is a typical blue-collar worker. He worked as a mechanic in an auto shop, loved fishing, barbecues in the backyard, and watching baseball. He was always a hero to me. He taught me to ride a bike, came to my school soccer matches even when he was tired after work. Mom is a homemaker, later worked in a store, very caring, but always a bit nervous, as if she was hiding something. I have a younger sister, she's 28, we're close, even though we sometimes argue over little things. And now about the uncle. His name is Tom, he's the older brother of my dad by 2 years. He lives in the neighboring state, Connecticut, works in construction, has a wife and two sons, my cousins, whom I grew up with, playing football at family holidays. Uncle Tom was always a part of our lives. He came for Thanksgiving, Christmas, helped Dad with house repairs. He was the fun uncle who gave cool presents and told funny stories. But now, when I think about it, there were small, strange things. For example, Mom always tensed up a bit when he was around, and Dad sometimes looked at him strangely. I thought it was just brotherly stuff. I never suspected anything bad. Outwardly, I look like Dad, both tall, with dark hair, although my eyes are gray like Mom's and Dad's are brown. But in childhood, there were moments when neighbors or relatives joked, "Oh, you look more like Tom than your old man." I laughed because I didn't understand. Mom always quickly changed the subject. The idea for the DNA test came up by chance. Last Christmas, my sister gave me a 23andMe kit. She said, "Let's find out if we have Irish roots like Mom says, or maybe something else." I wasn't particularly interested, but a few months later, during lockdown, well, it was back in 2023, but I remember, I thought, why not? I always wanted to find distant relatives, maybe someone from Europe, because Mom said our ancestors were from Ireland and Italy. I spat into the tube, sent it off, and forgot about it for a couple of weeks. When the results came, at first everything seemed normal. My ethnic mix, 45% Irish, 30% Italian, a bit of Scandinavian, just like Dad and Mom. But then I looked at the relatives section. There were familiar names, my sister in first place as a full sister, cousins from Uncle Tom as first cousins. But wait, my dad showed up as uncle or half-brother. I thought it was a mistake. I checked again, shared DNA, about 1700 cm, which is typical for an uncle, not a father. I googled. A father should have about 3500 cm. And Uncle Tom, he also did the test years ago. Turns out he's a genealogy fan, and I share 3400 cm with him, and the system marked him as father. My heart almost stopped. I was sitting in my apartment, looking at the screen and couldn't believe it. I reloaded the page, checked the accounts, everything was correct. Then I called my sister. She also looked at her results. For her, Dad is father, 3500 cm, and Uncle Tom is uncle. So my sister and I are full brother and sister. No, wait, if Tom is my father and Dad is hers, then we're half siblings. But our results show a full relation. No, stop, if Tom and my dad are brothers, then we're still full because the genes are similar. No, genetics doesn't work like that. I started Googling about it, reading forums on Reddit, that's why I'm here, and understood that if the uncle is the father, then the shared DNA with Dad will be like with an uncle. I was in shock, my hands were shaking, I couldn't eat all day. Why did Mom never say anything? Did Dad know? And Uncle Tom? This explains why Mom was always so protective about family stories. I remember when I was 10, I asked why my birthday was 8 months after their wedding, and Mom said I was born prematurely. Now I think maybe she was pregnant from Tom and married my dad quickly. I decided to talk to Mom. I went to my parents' house for the weekend, as if just visiting. We had dinner, everything as usual, steak, salad, beer. Then I said, "Mom, I did that DNA test and there's something strange." She turned pale, her eyes filled with tears. I showed her the results on my phone. She cried hard like never before. Dad came in, asked what happened, and she just sobbed. "I didn't want you to find out like this." Dad looked at the screen and his face changed from surprise to anger. He was silent for a minute, then said, "Is it true?" Mom nodded. Turned out 32 years ago, Mom was dating Tom. They were young in college, but Tom was a bad boy. He drank, didn't want responsibility. When Mom got pregnant with me, Tom got scared and said he wasn't ready for a family. Then my dad, his younger brother, was in love with Mom, proposed to marry her and raise me as his own. They got married quickly. Mom gave birth to me, and everyone in the family agreed to keep the secret. Grandpa and Grandma knew but kept quiet. Tom married later, had his own family, but was always around, maybe out of guilt. Dad left the room without a word. Mom cried and asked for forgiveness, said she loved me and didn't want to ruin the family. I sat there feeling betrayed, my whole world a lie. Who am I now? Tom's son, but Dad raised me. This is only the beginning. I don't know what to do next. Talk to Tom, tell my sister, go to a therapist. If anyone has a similar experience, please advise. I'll update if there's more. Update 1. Hi Reddit, thank you to everyone who responded to my original post. Your comments and messages really helped me not to lose my mind these past few days. Many advised not to rush, to talk to a therapist, and I booked a session, but more on that later. Right now, I want to tell you what happened after that evening when I showed Mom the DNA test results. It was 2 days after the post, so around October 15th. I'm writing this on October 26, 2025 to remind myself of the dates. I wasn't sleeping well, kept waking up from nightmares where my dad turned away from me and Uncle Tom was laughing. My girlfriend Laura supported me. She cooked for me because I couldn't eat and listened to me repeating the same things over and over. She said, "You have to talk to Tom, otherwise it will eat you up from the inside." I knew she was right, but fear paralyzed me. What if he denies it? What if he says he doesn't want anything to do with me? I decided to call Tom. He lives in Hartford, Connecticut, an hour's drive from Boston, but I didn't want to go right away. I was afraid I wouldn't handle the drive. I called on Wednesday evening after work. His voice was normal, cheerful. "Hey nephew, how are you? Long time no hear." I barely managed. "Uncle Tom, I need to talk. Seriously, can we meet?" He paused for a second as if suspecting something and said, "Of course, come over on Saturday. Aunt Anne and I will be home. We can grill some burgers." I replied, "Better alone without Aunt Anne." He was surprised but agreed. "Okay, come at 10 a.m. Anne is going to a friend's." Those 2 days until Saturday were hell. I was looking through old family photos and albums. I have scanned ones from my childhood on my computer. In one photo from my 5th birthday, I'm sitting on Tom's lap and my dad is standing aside smiling, but his eyes are sad. Now it looks different. I Googled about genetics, why I have his features, the same nose with a bump, the way of laughing with my head back. Mom called me every day, asked me not to rush with Tom, said, "He doesn't know how to react, give us time." I asked, "Did he know about me?" She sighed. "Yes, he knew from the very beginning, but we agreed that your dad is your dad." This made me even angrier. Everyone knew except me. On Saturday, I left early, got coffee from Starbucks on the way because I hadn't slept. The road was quiet, autumn leaves yellow like in the movies, but I didn't care. Arrived at his house, a typical American cottage with a 2-car garage, a lawn, and an American flag on the flagpole. Tom opened the door, hugged me as always. "Come in, son." "Oh, nephew." He corrected himself, and that was the first sign he was nervous. We sat in the kitchen. He poured coffee, put out cookies. I couldn't take it and immediately showed him the screenshot from 23andMe on my phone. "Look, you are my father." His face turned pale. He sat down, holding onto the table. "Oh God, I knew this day would come. Your mom called, warned me." He told me everything. 32 years ago, in 1993, he and Mom were dating in college in Boston. Mom was studying to be an accountant. Tom was studying engineering, but he was wild. Parties, beer, motorcycles. When Mom got pregnant, he was 22, he panicked. "I wasn't ready," he said, looking at the floor. "Your uncle, oh your dad, my brother, always loved your mom. He proposed to marry her, said he would raise you as his own." I agreed because I thought it was the best for you. He cried, real tears, wiping his eyes with his sleeve. "I regretted it every day. I looked at you at holidays and thought, this is my son, but I couldn't ruin the family." He told me details, how they signed some unofficial agreement within the family. Grandpa, their father, forced Tom to keep quiet because family is above all. Tom married Anne 5 years later, had sons, but always sent money for my gifts anonymously through Mom. I sat and listened, feeling a mix of anger and pity. I asked, "Why didn't you tell me earlier? I'm an adult," he replied. "I was afraid of losing you. You were always my favorite nephew." We talked for about 3 hours. He showed me his old photos with Mom. They were young, smiling on a beach in Cape Cod. I saw the resemblance. My gray eyes are from Mom, but the shape of my face is his. He told me about his mistakes, how he drank after giving me up, went to AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, after 10 years. "You motivated me to become better, even though you didn't know." I asked about my cousins, his sons. "They don't know and knows, but we didn't tell the kids." That was shocking, another secret. After the conversation, we hugged, but it was awkward. He said, "I want to be a part of your life if you allow it. Not as a father if you don't want, but as a friend." I didn't know what to say, just nodded and left. On the way home, I called Laura, cried in the car. She said, "It's a step forward." But at home, another blow was waiting. Dad, my upbringing father, wasn't talking to me. Mom said he was depressed, sitting in the garage, looking at old photos. I went to him, sat down next to him. Dad, you will always be my dad. He looked at me, his eyes red. I knew you weren't mine biologically, but I loved you as my own. Now I'm afraid you'll go to Tom. We talked for the first time, for real. He told me how he fell in love with Mom when she was pregnant, how he held me first in the delivery room. You are my son, period. That moved me to tears. Meanwhile, my sister found out. Mom told her because she couldn't take it anymore. My sister called me in hysterics. What? Tom is your father, and me? I explained the genetics. Since Tom and Dad are brothers, our DNA is similar, so we show as full brother and sister on the test, but technically we're half. She cried, this ruins everything. We met at a cafe, talked the whole evening. She remembered childhood, how Tom always gave me more attention, bought me better toys. Now it's clear why. She's angry with Mom, says. She should have said so long ago. I went to a therapist, an online session via Zoom. The therapist, a woman around 50, said, this is a trauma called genetic shock. Give yourself time to process the emotions. She advised keeping a journal, meditating. I write every evening about what I feel. I also read books about similar stories. The Stranger in My Genes by Bill Griffith. It's about DNA discoveries. It helped me feel I'm not alone. But the problems aren't over. Aunt Ann called Tom, found out from him, and now wants a divorce, says he lied for 25 years of marriage. My cousins, his sons, are in shock. One of them, the older one, 25 years old, texted me, bro, is it true? We're chatting, trying to understand. The family is falling apart like dominoes. I don't know what will happen next. Maybe a family meeting. The therapist advises not to rush. Thank you for the support, Reddit. If anyone has advice on how to talk to new relatives, write. I'll update when there's more. Update 2. Hello again, Reddit. A week has passed since the first update, and things have gotten even more complicated. Thank you for your messages. Many shared their own stories, and it's inspiring. One woman wrote that she had a similar situation, found out her uncle is her father, and now they are close, but it took 2 years. That gives me hope. The date is now October 26, 2025, and I'm writing from a cafe in New York because I moved to a friend's place for the weekend to get a break from Boston. My head is like a beehive, full of thoughts. Laura came with me. We walk in Central Park, trying to normalize life, but the secret doesn't let go. After the conversation with Tom, I decided to organize a family meeting. I called Mom, said, we all need to sit down and talk, otherwise this will destroy us. She agreed, but Dad, upbringing, hesitated. I don't want to see Tom. Finally, we scheduled it for last Sunday, October 19th, at my parents' house in the Boston suburbs. We invited everyone, Mom, Dad, Tom, Ann, my sister, and even my cousins, Jack, 25, and Mike, 22. Anne initially refused because she's angry with Tom, but he persuaded her, for the kids. The day of the meeting was tense. I arrived early, helped Mom prepare. She baked her signature apple pie as if it were a regular holiday, but her hands were shaking. Dad sat in the living room, watching football on TV, but with the sound off just to keep himself busy. My sister arrived with coffee for everyone, hugged me. We'll get through this together. Then Tom arrived with Anne and his sons. Anne looked tired, her eyes red from crying, but greeted us politely. Jack and Mike looked at me strangely. We were always cousins, played basketball in the yard, and now, brothers. We sat at the big table in the dining room like on Thanksgiving, but without the turkey. I started, thank you for coming. This is hard for everyone, but the secret is out and we have to discuss it. Mom started crying immediately, said, I'm sorry, kids. 32 years ago, I made a choice because I loved you all. She told details I didn't know, how she met Tom at a student party in 1992. They dated for 6 months, had unprotected sex because they were young and stupid. When the test showed pregnancy, Tom said, I'm not ready, maybe an abortion. Mom refused, went to his brother, my dad, whom she was friends with. Dad proposed marriage a week later. They got married in a small church, only parents as witnesses. Grandpa forced Tom to sign a paper, not legal, but moral, that he wouldn't claim the child. Tom added, I was an idiot. I drank to forget, but I couldn't. When you were born, I came to the hospital incognito, looked through the window. Anne interrupted, you told me 5 years after our wedding. I forgave you because I loved you, but now, with the kids, she cried. Jack hugged her. Jack asked me, so we're half-brothers, cool but weird. We laughed nervously because he always jokes. Mike was silent, but then said, I'm angry at Dad, Tom, because he lied. But I'm glad to have an older brother. Dad finally spoke, I loved you, son, from the first day. When I held you, you grabbed my finger, and that was it. Tom, you're my brother, but you betrayed me. Why didn't you go away? Tom replied, because I wanted to be close, even from a distance. They argued, voices raised. Mom calmed them down. My sister intervened. Stop, this is about us, the kids. We are the victims. She told how she feels betrayed because she thought the family was perfect. We talked about genetics. I suggested everyone do tests to confirm. Jack and Mike agreed. We ordered kits online that same evening. The meeting lasted 4 hours. There were tears, hugs, anger. Anne told Tom, "We need couples therapy, otherwise divorce." He nodded. We agreed to meet more often as an extended family. After that, I left with Laura. We stopped at a motel on the way, talked until night. She said, "You're strong, you'll handle it." But the next day, another twist. Grandpa Tom and Dad's father has been dead since 2015, but Grandma, their mother, is alive, 85 years old, in a nursing home in Massachusetts. Mom confessed that Grandma knew everything and kept the secret. I went to her on Tuesday. She was sitting in a chair watching TV. When I told her, she wasn't surprised. "I knew, child. Your mom is a good woman and Tom was a young fool, but family is love, not blood." She gave me old letters. Tom wrote to her about his guilt, asked for forgiveness. It was moving. Meanwhile, at work, I took a vacation. My boss understood, said, "Family comes first." I started exercising. I run in the morning to throw out the stress. Laura suggested going on vacation, maybe to Europe, but I'm not ready. My sister went to a psychologist, says it helps. She and I are closer now. We call every day, share memories. One memory, when I was 15, Tom taught me to drive and Dad didn't have time. Now it's clear why. But there are bad moments too. Dad upbringing started drinking more beer every evening. Mom is worried. I called him. "Dad, don't destroy yourself." He promised to stop. Tom sent me a message. "I want to introduce you to my hobbies, fishing, like in childhood." I agreed for next weekend. Jack and Mike want to meet separately, play video games like before, but now as brothers. I read forums on Reddit, our ancestry DNA, our genealogy. There are tons of similar stories. One, a guy found out his uncle is his father, and now they are business partners. Another, a woman rejected her bio father because of the betrayal. I'm in the middle. The therapist says, build new relationships slowly. I keep a journal. Today I wrote that I feel gratitude to Dad for raising me and curiosity about Tom. This isn't the end yet, but there's progress. If there's more, I'll update. Advice is welcome. How to integrate the new family. Thank you, Reddit. Update 3. Hello, Reddit. A month has passed since the last update. It's now November 26, 2025. Things in the family have finally settled down, and I feel relieved. We went through therapy, conversations, and time, and now everything is good. Thank you for your advice. It helped. After the family meeting, Tom and I started meeting regularly, once a week for coffee or fishing. He told me about his life, shared Italian recipes from our ancestors. We don't call each other dad and son, but we've become close friends. Anne forgave him after a few couples therapy sessions. They restored their marriage, went on a romantic trip to Florida. My brothers, Jack and Mike, now visit often. We play basketball, watch NFL games together. Jack even invited me to his birthday, where he introduced me as his older brother. The relationship with my upbringing dad has become stronger. He stopped drinking, went to a support group for parents with similar stories. We are repairing his old pickup truck in the garage together like in childhood, and he says, "You are my son, blood or not." Mom is happy. She doesn't cry anymore, bakes pies for all our gatherings. My sister has come to terms with it, and we are planning a family trip to Ireland next summer to explore our roots. Laura and I are getting married in the spring. She has been my rock. The therapist says we have all reprocessed the trauma into strength. Now the family is bigger and stronger. If anyone is in a similar situation, hang in there. Time heals. This is the end of my updates. Thank you. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new stories.